recording. Okay, so recording in progress.
Yeah.
It's always good, isn't it? It's lovely to see you all, and thank you for taking the time tonight. And I'm looking forward to taking you on a little trip around the world. As I said in my Facebook post, I don't know if you saw it, there are no carbon footprint air miles to this journey, which is really nice because that kind of fits with the ethos of the company, doesn't it? That we're going to be carbon neutral tonight, and maybe that, as you start your little staycations with your customers, might be a nice little intro for them. And basically, you know, as we looked at some of the heritage products a couple of months ago. If you're new or you haven't had a chance to see that yet, it's in the YouTube channel, the team YouTube channel, as a theme for gathering people together around the product. And I think people really enjoyed, the ones I did, they really enjoyed hearing the backstory of when products were first made, what the original ones looked like. And you know, this is kind of a provenance story behind our ingredients version of that, because a lot of the time we talk about skincare and we fit the skincare to the person's needs. So we think about skin type and skin characteristics, and then we recommend the range. And with body products, you don't have that, because there aren't products for a range for dry skin and a range for oily skin and a range for normal skin. It's more about texture and fragrance. So actually we can home in on a different focus. So that's what I've done tonight. And I was thinking, there were a couple of chats. I think it was the coffee and chat or the leaders gathering where we planned the month ahead. I can't remember, to be honest, but the whole, I think it was the coffee and chat, we just had the idea of, in a year where people can't go on holiday as much, we can kind of take them on holiday around the world and show them some images of where our ingredients come from. So what we're going to do then is, in the course of a workshop using this theme, basically hang on, I'm being distracted. I'm just going to lose the dog. This is the joy, isn't it? Hang on 1 second. It's destroying her bed. Maisie, come on. No, come on, out.
What are you popping on your face, Hazel?
Sorry about that. She's busy destroying the bed in the background and I couldn't think about what I was doing. So the idea here is that we're going to take people on a journey with some of the body products where they try 2 of the washing products. So 2 of the shower products is what I've chosen, because we've used quite a lot of foaming bath in previous themes. 2 of the body scrubs and 2 moisturizers. Well, actually it's 1 oil and a moisturizer. And what I've tried to do is choose products that are from where key ingredients are from as many countries in the world as possible. So you don't have to use all of those products. You don't have to invest in all of them as testers. You can do 2 choices for people. So, you know, we'll talk about that as we go through the theme. But if you just want to choose 1 of each of those, then that's fine too in your sampling. Maybe you want to give them 2 of one thing. I mean, maybe the polishes or something like that, where they can try different textures. Lovely to see those of you who are joining us now. And then what I've also done is I've chosen 2 essential oils, and rather than go blends, which we've often done, I've chosen 2 top 10 popular oils, which I think are linked with summer. So they are fragrances that I think will be suitable for a staycation. And the kind of vibe you want in creating this workshop with people is to say, actually, what we've got in a time where we can't get away on holiday, yes, a bit of a trip around the world, but also some time out and a bit of pampering. Quite often at this time of year, we'd be saying, here are your holiday essential products. That might be a bit of a sore subject this year. So to actually be able to say to them, you know, even though we're not going to get to go away, or maybe we're not going abroad and we're staying local a bit more, actually looking after yourself, looking after your skin when the sun is having a bit more impact on it, when you've got, you know, bare arms a bit more, that kind of thing, bare legs. It's good to nurture all of the skin on your body, not just the skin on your face. So what I've done is I've created some imaging this tile here, I'll put into my team Facebook group, so that you can use these and put your own dates and times on it. So if you haven't come across it, I use Canva or WordSwag. Those are two apps that you can basically overwrite writing onto an image. So if you want to use this staycation image and then just put the date and the time of your own workshops, please feel free to do that. Just download them from my Facebook group, or ask your leader how to get hold of it if you're not in my Facebook group and don't want to be because you're in too many. That's fine too. And here are a couple of others that I've created that just got different wording. So some are products for a staycation rather than, what did the last one say? Ingredients from around the world.
Sorry, Sean, can you say the name of those two apps again, please?
Yeah, Canva, which is a little bit more complicated. So if you want the simple version, the other one is WordSwag.
WordSwag, okay. Lovely, thank you.
Okay, no problem. They're good for just writing over the top. And Hazel's spelt it properly for you in the chat, so Canva. And then the other one is self-care ideas for your staycation, because actually self-care isn't selfish, is it? You know, and people are a lot more realizing the need for their own self-care, and we're going to take them on a journey of looking after themselves as well as enjoying some of our ingredients. Okay, so let's make a start. I would suggest you start your workshop with the fragrance of an essential oil. Now, some of you heard me say this before. My great aunt, who was a very big influence in my life, was blind from 18 months. She had meningitis as a baby. She died at 93, but she taught me the power of how you can enhance other senses by shutting off one of the senses that you've got. So quite often, if somebody wants to think straight, what they do is they put their hands over their ears, because it shuts out all the stimulation that you get from the noise outside. And one of the things that I've learned is that your sense of smell is actually heightened when you shut your eyes. So I would suggest to people that you have a scent strip that you've sent them in advance. If it's virtual workshop or if it's face-to-face, you just put a little drop of the grapefruit essential oil onto a scent strip for each person, get them to shut their eyes and just enjoy the fragrance of that oil. And our organic grapefruits come from the USA. And grapefruit essential oil is, as I said, one of our top 10 best-selling oils. It's really good for mood uplifting. I quite often use grapefruit in my diffuser. In fact, here on my desk, there it is. I just picked it up. I had coriander today, but quite often grapefruit for a gloomy day where you need a little bit of sunshine and a bit of a lift. I always think it's a bit like a good laugh with a best friend. It just lightens your spirits and just makes you feel like life's okay again. Grapefruit is an amazing oil. So if you haven't got that one, put it into your kit. Now, everything that's on the slide here, you don't need to write down.
You just made him jump. Come here, you.
Oh, somebody's got background noise. If you could mute, that would be amazing. In fact, I'll do it. There we go. That's easier, isn't it? And then you can unmute if you want to say something. That'd be great. What was I saying? If you haven't got it in your kit, definitely add it. I think it's always nice to know what the separate essential oils blend with. I know what I was talking about. So I've written on there, it blends well with bergamot, jasmine and black pepper. So that's there. But everything that's on the screen now will be a cue card. So I will upload those into belovelies.com and into my team Facebook group as an attached file. Ask your upline leader if you can't easily access the resources. So you don't need to write down everything that's on the slide. It'll be just for you to be able to use when you're chatting to your guests. So some of the slides that I've got are like I've got here with writing on. I would suggest you don't share those if you're doing your workshop online, because actually people want to see each other. You can have them on a separate screen or you can print them off so that you can be talking from these slides, but you're not necessarily showing them to customers, okay? So then the first product, there are two ways that customers can use this. I've gone for the Be Lovely Bath and Shower Gel, as the first option. What I'm going to suggest is that people either do a foot soak up and potentially give their legs up to their knees a nice wash using a washing up bowl with some nice warm water in it per person, and then from the little sample pot of bath and shower gel, they can tip that into the water, or if it's face to face and you want to go around and give everybody a little bit into their washing up bowl, that's fine too. If they don't want to do feet, then a hand wash up to their elbows is good too. Either way, we want to get to more than feet or hands. We want to kind of get up to knees or elbows, so it feels more body involved. And then when everybody's got their product and they're enjoying the process, you can tell them a little bit about the product. And what I've done on the cards is I've highlighted the key ingredients that I'm going to talk about. So in this one, it's the organic honey from Mexico, and the oranges, the orange essential oil that Neil Child Remedies use comes from Italy, and Mexico. So honey from Mexico and oranges from Mexico. Why are we not in Mexico right now? They have honey and oranges. Oh, so we'll have a little bit of information about the product itself. As you can see there, it's a moisture rich gel, and it is gentle enough for everybody age 3 upwards. 3 to 133 can use Be Lovely range. It's also definitely our family range, because you get 295 mils of this product for the same price as the 200 mils that you get in the other shower gels. It is like sunshine in a bottle, Hazel. I love your comment in the chat. Absolutely. So you're actually getting more product for the same money with the Be Lovely range. And I think the fragrance, absolutely, Hazel's just said sunshine in a bottle, but it's so good to cleanse and nourish the skin, because honey is very protecting of the skin, but it does lift your spirits because of that lovely citrusy orange smell. And of course, in addition, before we even get into the projects in Mexico and Italy, 3% of the sales of this Be Lovely range goes to the bee friendly charities. So it is absolutely an ethical product on legs, because the purchase of it is doing so much. But let's also have a look at the 2 projects that are related. So the first place I'm going to take you to is Mexico and Italy, and this is our orange products, orange ingredients. So you can see on the map, just so you know where in the world you're going, you're in either Mexico or Italy. I don't know about you, I'm going to plump for Mexico. So yeah, mind you, I wouldn't be fussed. If I could go to Italy right now, that would be great. So the project in Mexico, there's a little paragraph about it at the bottom of this screen. So I would actually be showing this if I was doing an online event with customers. I would encourage those who are coming for this event to be on a laptop if at all possible, and not a phone, because obviously the writing is going to be really, really small. But otherwise, because the benefit of using the image that I've got here is that they're getting all the visuals of the oranges being sorted, the trees in Mexico, and obviously that beautiful, beautiful view in the main image, as well as the map. So in Mexico, in our project that we support there, you can see that from the nurseries where the orange trees are grown, all the way through to the distribution of the oranges, the company who are involved in this in Mexico have got an integrated supply chain. So meaning that everybody who's in the supply chain realizes the impact that they have on each other, and that where one might be taking resource, another will be giving back in terms of carbon footprint and such like. So what that does is it limits the impact on the environment. So also not just carbon footprint, but things like water management and the organic practices in the orchard. So really well thought processing on how the farming is being done. In Italy, you can see there's a little bit more there. The orchards come from the southerly regions of Italy, naturally ripened in the Mediterranean sunshine. You can just imagine it. Tanya is there. I can see your blissful face, Tanya. And our suppliers there have been doing this for over 100 years. So they absolutely know what they're doing. And in both cases, the projects are organic. So you can see at the bottom of the screen, we've got the Soil Association certification logo there. So certified organic is not just about the organicness of the oranges themselves, it's about the soil quality, the lack of use of pesticides and herbicides, and the ethical practices that we talked about in the Mexican project. Okay, so moving on from Mexico and Italy, well, one area of Mexico, we're going to have a look at the honey projects in southern Mexico. And I mean, I think it's a sad reflection on our nation, really, that whilst we have a lot of honey that's being harvested in England, we can't have organic honey from this country, because basically we use so many pesticides. We obviously can't really control where bees fly. And so we go to Mexico, where there is vast open space of organic land, and where you can make sure that the honey is certified organic. I hope that this country catches up with just how much damage that's doing to our farming processes. So this is a lovely project. I love this honey project. So you've got indigenous farming communities, you know, truly Mexican communities in hard to access villages. So have got a cooperative where they sell their honey through fair trade. So this is one of our fair trade certified ingredients. And in that community, there's also a women's group, which helps the women, empowers the women with their own small holdings so that they can have their own income. And I think that's a really nice link, because, you know, this is a company that's empowering us as women to grow our own business. I always love it when there are little projects around the world where other women in other nations are being empowered by our company too, to do their own thing. And Susan Curtis, our natural health director, there's a lovely quote there at the bottom there: fair honey trading is very important, as it means that those in these communities are no longer just reliant on coffee farming. And because the bees and the people are living on land that's not exposed to synthetic chemicals, that's, you know, also another side benefit. It's not just the bees who don't appreciate the pesticides in their systems. These farmers' lives are richer, not just financially, but health-wise, because the way that this project needs to be run for that certification to be kept alive, basically. Okay, so it may be that you want to do an either or on the two washes. I've actually chosen wild rose shower oil for the second option of the cleanse. Now, you can, if you're going to do an either or, then I would suggest that if they've done legs with the first one, they do arms with this one, because otherwise there's going to be a bit of a clash of fragrance. Please don't be afraid of outside garden events getting a little bit messy. It's okay for people to tip their water out, and of course, because the products are so natural, there's no reason why that can't be tipped onto the grass or the flower beds, and then fresh water supplied for the next wash that we've got here. If you just want to stick to one or the other, it's fine. I'm sure many of you've got Be Lovely shower gel in your kit, so don't fret if you haven't got wild rose shower oil or vice versa. And the key ingredient in this is obviously our antioxidant rich wild rosehip seed, which comes from Serbia. So a completely different trip now, perhaps not quite so much sunshine as Mexico. But this product is a really interesting one. It in the instructions for use, it does actually say apply to damp skin. I would say only just damp, not really wet, because you want to get the texture of the oil first of all before you add a little bit more water, maybe just by wetting your hands, and the oil transforms into a soft and milky lava. So with this one, if you're going to use it in the shower, actually, I recommend people put it on whilst the shower water is running to get warm. So you wash yourself all over with the oil and then apply a little bit of water to your hands and just rub it in as a creamy lava. It leaves your skin absolutely beautifully soft, because basically not only is it cleansing, but it's giving you that lovely sweet almond oil nourishment in your shower cream or shower oil. So it's a different texture product from the other shower products. It's the same texture as the Beauty Sleep shower oil. You would use that the same way, but they're the only two shower oils that we do. As it says at the bottom of what will be your cue card, amazing for a really close shave as well. Because of that lovely oil, it just means that if you're using a razor, it just gives you a really, really up close finish. It's really nice. Right, there's a lot in the chat. I'm just going to have a quick look there. Hazel says they're vegan too, which is great. You're talking about bee mugs and Dunelm and where you can buy bee stuff. I love it. A bit of retail therapy. That's so funny. You're supposed to be coming to Serbia with me. Come on, let's have a look at Serbia. So I love this. So basically in Serbia, they have local villagers, but they also have some people who come into the region, particularly for rosehip gathering season. And all of the rosehips are picked by hand, literally wild harvested out of the hedgerows in Serbia. And look at that for a lovely ethical practice. They're picked from established plants, and they leave at least 10% of the fruit on the bush. So why would they do that? Go on, put into the chat why you think they leave 10% of the fruit on the bush. To leave for the wildlife, absolutely. To leave for the birds and the other creatures, the mice and whatevers that want to eat those. You know, the benefit is not just for us. And I just think that's so delightfully Neilshard Remedies. We're not just stripping the bushes of all the fruit and taking what we want. We're considering those others who would benefit from this. The same is true for our honey, actually. We only take the surplus honey that's not needed by the bees. In some honey harvesting practices, what they do is they take too much honey away and leave the bees with a sugar solution to eat instead. And that really compromises their own health. It actually compromises the whole hive. But with the organic project that you just saw in Mexico, they only take the excess honey that the bees don't need. So it's nice to see one of the ladies who actually picks our rose hips, and to see that I think rose hips before they're dried just look so beautiful. That's such a cheery autumnal sight. They don't look half as marvelous when they're all dried up, which tends to be how we can purchase them. Not so great for displays. So now what we're going to do is turn our attention to a couple of completely different textured body polishes. This one is a scrub, and the other one I'm going to share with you is a body polish. And we're going to a couple of countries for this one. So first of all, there's the French Brittany sea salt. So we're gonna home in on that in a minute. That is the scrubby part of this body scrub. So it doesn't have shell or seed powder in it. It has salt. Word to the wise, just be careful, as it says at the bottom there, not to use this on freshly shaven or broken skin. I did make the mistake once when I'd been harvesting blackberries of getting into the shower and using this body scrub, and it's not an experience I will repeat, because I didn't realise just how many little scratches and damages my skin had until that salt hit my system. It was not nice. So it's It's basically a balm in texture. It's a bit like Wild Rose Beauty Balm in texture, actually, but it's got that lovely, heady, citrusy and geranium fragrance. It's a beautiful one for summer, and it absolutely reminds me of holidays. And then when you apply it, the balm melts, just like Wild Rose Beauty Balm, just goes to that delicious oil. And obviously this is geranium and orange fragrance, but that shea nut butter just dissolves against your skin. It's deeply nourishing. And then the only other texture you've got, of course, is the gritty bits of that French Brittany sea salt. Leaves the skin beautifully, beautifully soft. So again, damp skin, not wet. And I would say absolutely don't try and put it on whilst you're in the shower and there's water running over you, because it just washes all the salt away. You need to do this either before you get into the shower or bath, or switch the water off halfway through and apply it all. And to be honest, the fragrance and the texture with that shea nut butter is so lovely, you'll just not want to turn the water on for a while. It is divine. So how are we going to do this? We're not going to send everybody off to the shower to do as I've just described. Obviously, you're just going to tell them all of that whilst they're trying it, rubbing it. I would suggest that if you're going to offer 2 different textures, they just try this on one arm or one leg. So they've got one leg that's exfoliated with this product, and then we'll move on to the other product for the other leg. Just a little bit of a feature on the salt in Brittany. As you'd expect, even the processing of the salt is important. Much of the salt that's used in body products is put through a chemical wash. Ours is not. It's harvested and processed using traditional methods from before chemicals were invented, and is an ecological project in that Bay area that has turned a neglected swampland into an important wildlife wetland. So just restoring that part of the bay, as well as being able to harvest the salt. A really nice story. This one is actually in the summer sale. I went to purchase one this morning early on in the sale, and it's currently out of stock. But what's going to happen with out of stocks is that where possible, there's going to be replenishment of stock. Obviously, if people have got loads and loads on held orders, then that makes it impossible for the rest of us. So please don't do that. But hopefully this one will come back in. And just whilst we're on the sale, just so you know, things like the limited edition bath salts are unlikely to be replenished, because obviously they were limited edition when they came. But general product range like this one, we should be able to see some more stock for. So I'm sure that'll all get sorted out. Okay, so the other polish, oh no, hang on, before we do that, we've got to go to the Dominican Republic of Congo and have a look at our geranium project. And I just love that picture. Isn't it gorgeous, looking at the ladies harvesting the geranium leaves for our essential oil. So where is the DRC? Right smack bang in the middle of Africa. So we've gone from Mexico and Italy to Serbia, and now we're in Africa. How was the flight? It's all right. So again, the Democratic Republic of Congo, just really empowering people with life skills, and the project actually gives employment to over 250 workers. And again, many of those workers, as are often the way in these communities, are women. And this is a nation that's been really affected by civil war. So actually education and healthcare for the workers' children, access through the fair trade premiums, is absolutely making a massive impact on those communities. So what do fair trade premiums mean? Basically, that means that the money goes direct to the people for the people who are doing the work. So the farmers and the pickers, rather than the middlemen. So what Neal's Yard Remedies try to do is work directly with projects, not middlemen who collect things from projects and then want to sell them on to companies. That just means that they can not just be given a fair price for their work, but Neal's Yard Remedies often does a premium on the price in order to support and develop projects like healthcare and education in these communities. They want, as a company, to see positive impact of the partnership with Neelshad Remedies. And the orange in the geranium and orange body scrub, of course, will be the same from Italy and Mexico that we talked about earlier on. The shea butter, we're going from Central Africa to West Africa here, to Burkina Faso. This project here, again, using traditional techniques, and that's what shea butters look like. It's nice to see a picture. And the fruit from the shea tree is basically broken open. The nuts are squashed to get the oil out. And the women in that community, in that country, use the shea butter literally from harvesting against the sunshine. They put this antioxidant rich oil straight onto their skin to protect them from the harsh climate. It's very hot and dusty in Burkina Faso. So to have a body scrub that not just exfoliates, but also just completely nourishing with this lovely shea butter is just lovely, delightful. So the other polish for the other leg or other arm, if you're offering two, if not, just choose one, it doesn't matter, is the Rose and Geranium body polish. And I chose this one because of the Rose Otto essential oil that is in this. And rose is such a central fragrance in our range, isn't it? So it's blended with the shea nut butter that we just talked about. It's also got soya and coconut oils in it. So again, lots of moisture. We haven't got salt in this one. The scrubby bit is argan shell and rice powder. And you might want to mention to your customers, we're going to come back to the argan shell later. So hopefully that will intrigue them. This is not as coarse as the geranium and orange body scrub. It is a slightly more gentle and creamy polish, and it is in a creamy texture. It's not the same oily balm like the geranium and orange one. This one, it says again, damp skin. If your skin is slightly wet rather than damp, this one will be okay on that one. On that, it's quite a forgiving texture. And obviously, alongside the rose, you've got the geranium from the project we just talked about, and also ylang ylang essential oils, which we're going to come back to in a little while as well when we talk about moisturizers. So I'm just wondering, into the chat, out of the two body polishes, which one would you go for? Do you think, was it the geranium and orange that grabbed your attention, and the scrubbiness of that, or the fragrance of that, or the rose and geranium? Just put into the chat which one you'd go for and why. And when you've typed, you can perhaps have a read of somebody else's. Okay, those of you who've done it quickly, just put in why. Right, scrubby G&O, love that texture, great. Rose and geranium because it's softer. Aren't we so different? Isn't that so funny? And I think that's where the power of two choices is such a good idea, because if you were my customers and I said, so which one do you prefer? Marie's going for both. Actually, it's harder to say no to that. It's much, you're going to just gently encourage people to make a purchase if you give them two choices. So if financially you're able to, I think that two polishes are really worth the investment, even if you only have one shower gel. Not used either of them because I use the frankincense and mandarin normally, like the sound of scrubbiness, the G&O. There we go. So yeah, sounds like I've got a few converts from you guys, let alone your customers. But just think about the process that your brain just went through. It's like, oh, okay, so which one did I prefer? Which one has caught my attention? And that's without even trying the product. You're obviously going to have them testing the product, and that in itself will mean the product does the talking and does the convincing. But two choices are good. Okay, so let's have a look at our organic rose. I just need to move you out of the way because you're in the way of Iran. There we go. I can see the map now. So again, slightly interesting flight path now. We've gone from West Africa, and then you can either go to Iran or Bulgaria, whichever you prefer. Our organic rose comes from both countries. And I think what's so beautiful about the rose story, which I remember hearing very early on in being a consultant, and it stuck with me, is that the rose petals, even the time of day that they're harvested, there is attention to detail. So actually what happens is that in the morning, just as the dew is burned off, just before the rose petals are completely dry, that's when the scent is at its highest, and that's when the rose petals are picked. And that's why we have the quality of rose essential oil that we have. I think I've had an awful lot of experiences of substandard rose fragrance in my life, and now Neil Judd Remedies has spoilt me forever. Our rose absolutely smells of roses, and I know that sounds a really stupid thing to say because it is rose essential oil, but pure, beautiful rose essential oil spoils you forever as up against some of those other oils that are out there. And Neil Judd Remedies' attention to detail is what creates that result. So just south of the Balkan Mountains in Bulgaria is where one of the projects is, and rose harvesting and rose growing there has been going on for hundreds of years. It's an area of high rural unemployment. It's a certified organic project, and it means that the people and the roses are not subject, all the pollinators are not subject to harsh chemicals, and those who work there are paid a fair price. I just think that's a really wholesome story. Okay, so a couple of really different moisturizers. So argan oil, I think, is one of the unsung heroes of our range. And in the summer, well, all year round for different reasons, it's such a beautiful nourisher. And as I said there, it can be applied wherever you like. It is for skin, it's for nails, and it is for hair. So it's certified organic, and it is it's really good at locking in the moisture that's in your skin. So, you know, for summer, when you're outside more and a bit more weather prone, even if you can't go far away on holiday, it's a really good all-rounder. So rich in essential fatty acids and antioxidant vitamin E. It can be used just rubbed into the body like a moisturizer, but the thing with an oil is it's a finer molecular structure, and so it can actually penetrate slightly deeper into your skin than a moisturizer will. So for somebody who suffers from dry skin, they're not just nourishing the skin cells that are on the surface like a moisturizer will. An oil like a body oil will nourish the skin cells that are coming to the surface. It can just get a little bit deeper in. What that means over time, it's with skin cell regeneration, is that the skin cells, by the time they get to the surface, are in better condition. They're plumper and in better shape. And essential fatty acids in products basically helps the maintenance of the skin cell wall. If you think of a balloon, the rubber part is like the cell wall. And for the skin cell to function properly, that cell wall has to be in good health, and essential fatty acids help with that. So if you can nourish the skin cells coming to the surface, your skin's going to look much more radiant, and it's going to iron out a few dehydration lines and wrinkles and just look fresher and more youthful. Argan oil can also be used in your hair. For people with curly hair that tends to frizz, they could just apply a little bit into the palm of their hands and then just rub it into their curls. I have really fine straight hair, so I just look like I've been in the rain if I do that. But I do from time to time use argan oil as a pre-wash hair treatment. So again, just apply a little bit to it when you're going to be in, and you're not going to have to answer the door because you will look a little bit oily. just apply it into the bits of your hair that are dry, usually ends and where there are layers and things. And then definitely have a towel on your pillow when you go to bed. And in the morning, apply neat shampoo, preferably Neil Yard Remedies shampoo, to your hair and rinse it out, and then apply a double shampoo. So you need it to be dry, your hair to be dry in the morning with that first shampoo, just to cut into the oil. Go steady would be my top tip, because it is beautiful. It makes your hair shine and it's so nourishing. But if you overdo it, it will be quite difficult to get that greasy look away, especially around the roots, if your hair is fine. For those who have thicker hair or curls, go for it. This is an amazing curl preserver and curl separator, and I'm very jealous. So if there are some good testimonials of use of this, or anybody with hair types like the ones I've just described, do put them into the chat. It'd be great to hear. In terms of this workshop, I think this is about applying it to wherever they want to. So arms and legs. It's quite funny. I remember using argan oil last summer for workshops I was doing, and people will kind of roll up trouser legs. I think a couple of times people almost tempted to take their tops off and really get in there. It depends how well they know each other, really. Claudia's asking about children's hair. Yes, it's completely organic argan oil, so it's fine, Claudia, so long as the child doesn't mind. Eilish uses it. Yeah, hair is dry at the ends. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's nice, Harriet. I read Harriet's comment about using it in hair and moisturizing, and then before going out to eat in the evening. Oh, the bugs left you alone and ate your husband. I love it. We'll put that down to argan oil, not because he tasted better, Harriet. Okay, so then the other moisturizer I've got, oh no, hang on, before we do that, the Argan Oil Project, of course, which is Moroccan. So we're off to Northwest Africa now, so a bit further up from Burkina Faso to Morocco. And the Argan Oil Project is a fair trade cooperative in the Sioux Valley. And actually, this is the only area in Africa where argan trees grow. And they've actually protected the trees from the goats that eat the nuts, the argan nuts, because they were having to filter them out of what came out of the other end of a goat. So now they've had to fence off the trees so that it's not such a nasty job to do. But look at that, the fair price we pay for their incredible oil, together with the Fair Trade Fund, is giving the women financial independence, access to literacy classes, and money to support their children through high school and even to university. And I do know that within the project, they've been able to set up a nursery so that the women who are working in harvesting the argan oil or the argan seeds and then producing the oil have got nice things for their children to be doing whilst they're working. The Women's Cooperative quote, look at that, here in the countryside, there would be no other work without argan. And in their community, the word they use for argan oil is liquid gold. And I think it is absolutely the gold for their community. It's what produces, gives them income, but actually on your skin, it's like liquid gold as well. So into the chat, if you've not come across argan oil before and you're now going to invest in a bottle for yourself and as a tester, let me know. Put it in the chat if I've convinced you. Okay, so the second one I've gone for is Beauty Sleep Body Butter, partly because I just want to tell you about the Madagascar project for Ilang Ilang. It's very, very moisturizing, this product, and it is just lovely for just before bed. I don't know about you, but when the sunshine's been here intermittently in the last few weeks, one of my favorite things in the evening is to go out watering and sometimes feeding the garden. And there's that point of rest where the plants almost go, and I think having a body butter that nourishes your skin as you relax and prepare for sleep, and then sleep, which is when your skin does its repair, is a really nice concept. it does leave your skin beautifully soft. And body butter is a really thick, creamy texture that I think gets a bad press. So people often go for body lotion because it soaks in quickly. But actually, our body butters, though they're thick and creamy, they are really easily absorbed. So, you know, that kind of luxurious texture, but without spending hours and hours rubbing it in. Warming it up in your hands, as I've said in the last sentence there, is a bit of a top tip. So just getting the oils coming to the surface in the product before you apply it to your body is quite a good idea. And of course, it's got that organic shea butter that we talked about earlier, and also cocoa butter. The fragrance is divine. It's the same as the Beauty Sleep concentrate, and just unwinds and is a lovely fragrance actually for a sleep trigger. So having this as part of your nighttime ritual, that fragrance of Beauty Sleep, will be a way of telling your body, okay, it's time to unwind and rest. Yeah, testimonials for this one in the chat, please, would be lovely. If you are it's simply unctuous. I love that, Hazel. Heaven as a ritual pre-sleep. It is heaven, Eilish. And I think actually just a few minutes, I mean, I'm just aware that even as I'm talking about this product, my voice has slowed down. I feel like my body's going, oh, where is it? And it's on my dressing table upstairs. But it is just a few moments of time out, and it will be that in your workshop. But for people to be able to have that in their bedroom when there's so much else going on, I think our essential oils speaking into people's stress and overwroughtness at the moment is a really precious space for us to be part of. Okay, so what we don't want to do is, after this second moisturizer, and probably if they're in the garden, they've had a glass or two of Pimm's, and if they're sat in front of a screen, they've had something else to enjoy all through this. What we don't want is to send them all off to sleep and not have them purchasing. So my last essential oil that which we're going to cover in a minute, will hopefully bring them back to life. But here is a beautiful picture in Madagascar of one of the women harvesting the flowers, the ylang ylang, beautiful yellow flowers from the trees. And again, fair price, premium to the project, and traditional distillation methods in copper stills in Madagascar. I'd like to visit that project. So if you had to pick a country that we visited, where would you go? Would you go to Italy? Would you go to Mexico? Would you go to Madagascar? Would you go to Serbia? Would you go to the USA for the grapefruits? Would you go to West Africa, Central Africa, or North Africa? Don't know, into the chat. Where would you go if I could just stick you on a plane and you could go and visit one of the projects? Everyone's going for different things. Oh, there's a lot of Italy going on. Claudia's coming with me to Madagascar. Linda's off to Morocco to see the shea nut butter. I'd like to help pick roses in Serbia. Yes. To check King Julian has survived COVID. I love it. There's so much news to catch up on, Harriet. Yeah, be nice, wouldn't it, to go to one of the projects? Great. Yeah, keep the comments coming. So to finally to bring everybody round, we've got rosemary, which is one of our top 10 essential oils again, and it's great for concentration. So this is where they get to concentrate on what they're going to buy. So do you like that? An essential oil that's going to help them focus on their order forms. So rosemary essential oil, it's such a good stimulant. It's another one that I use in the office. I've got it in the Focus blend. Oh, here we go. Rosemary next to my grapefruit, and there's Focus, which has also got rosemary in it. For days like today, it would have been good actually, but it's also obviously in England at the moment, it's in abundance and the bees adore it. The flowers are incredible, and it's just readily available for cooking. It's really easy to dry as well. So if you've got rosemary bushes, pick a few sprigs whilst the stems are tender and tie them up somewhere dry and warm, and you'll be able to have your own rosemary through the winter as well. It's also incredible if you steep it in oil. So if you've got a jam jar or something that you can fill with olive oil and then put a few sprigs of rosemary into it, you'll have a lovely rosemary rich oil to cook with your Italian food in the winter. So making the most of our herbs really whilst we're at home. I've done a lot more in the garden this year. I'm sure many of you have, and and last year too. And rosemary, if you want to help the pollinators in your own garden, is a really good one to plant. Actually, quite a lot of the herbs are. I love it with lemon together. I haven't tried it with marjoram or juniper, but those are two that it blends well with. And actually, for this one, and you probably saw on the grapefruit cue card as well, you can use it to inhale the aromatic steam in your shower as well. So don't just think diffusers. You might well also want to have it in your bath oil, and just let the fragrance of that sort of uplifting and enlivening and focusing essential oil. If anybody else is a fan of rosemary and used it for other things, let me know. That'd be good to have those in the chat. Oh, some comments coming in. Let's just have a quick look. Fresh rosemary, Leslie, in the olive oil. Yeah, that's good. Massage therapist often uses rosemary and lemon on me. I should put you in the oven and roast you. I love it, Harriet. Let's hope not. It reminds me of home, of my parents' house, because there were big rosemary bushes along the edge of the footpath, and you just need to brush rosemary and you get the fragrance coming off it, don't you? So go and enjoy rubbing some between your fingers and enjoying the fragrance at some point. The Greek scholars used to pin a little sprig of rosemary to their tunics when they were studying because it aided concentration. So it's good stuff. So there we go. Those are all the products and a bit of a trip around the world. And as I said, I will absolutely post the cue cards and so that you've got things to talk through. And I think I'm actually just going to add a couple of things that I was saying as we talked to the cue cards, and so that you've got that bit of information there as well. And then what I'm really happy to do is I'll also upload to my team group, and we'll put it into the belovelies.com website as well, is a set of slides, so that if you want to share the imaging with your customers, if you're doing an online event, then you've got the PowerPoint presentation all ready to go, and I'll take the cue cards out and just make that suitable for customers. Okay. Anybody got any questions before we finish? And look at that, miraculously 3 minutes inside an hour. When was the last time I did training that was inside an hour? Wow. So you've got 3 minutes to ask any questions. If you'd like to unmute yourself, do. Caroline, have you?
Yeah, please.
Go for it.
So when we start off, are we putting the shower oil on one that we've scrubbed? And where are we putting the moisturizer? So if we've done the Be Lovely on one leg and then we're doing the shower oil on an arm, for example. Oh, and I've just confused myself, sorry.
Yeah, okay. So if you're doing one shower product,
yeah,
either arms or legs.
If you're doing two.
If you're doing two, depending on whether they want to do arms or legs, they're doing one of them and then the other one. So if I'm doing arms, I'm going to do one arm in one shower gel and one in the other. It doesn't matter too much, but I think that what I wanted to get across was that people can find a bit of skin to try both of them on, and two choices is good. But if actually you can't invest in two of them for the testers, don't worry about it. One is fine. Okay. I think if you're going to invest in two of anything, go for the scrub, because then you've got that two choices of texture.
And then are you putting the moisturizer on the one that you've scrubbed?
Yes.
Right.
And what's powerful is you've then washed and scrubbed and moisturized that one, and that's like, oh my goodness, look at the difference.
Yeah.
And then probably they won't want to go home. They'll want to use the rest of it up to do the other arm so they're balanced, or the other leg.
Thank you.
That's all right. I did have one of these. We did legs and feet one year, and it was in someone's garden, and the host had said to everybody, bring a bowl, what did she say? You need to bring a bowl with you, but actually what she should have said was you need a bowl that you can fit your feet into. So one lady brought a pudding bowl from her, like a mixing bowl from her kitchen, couldn't fit her feet in it. And thankfully the host had a spare washing up bowl, but it was in a greenhouse down her garden, and needed a bit of a washout because she'd been mixing potting compost up in it. So I said, she was busy pouring drinks. So I said, oh, I'll get it. Ran off down the lawn with nothing on my feet, and thought, this is what being a consultant should be all about. You know, it's not highfalutin, is it? It's just girls together. And they all sat on the edge of her decking step like kids waiting for a bus, all with their washing up bowls of water. And one lady got trousers on that were too tight. She's got skinny jeans on. And the more scrub we were doing and the more washing and the rest of it, the tighter her jeans just looked. And in the end, she said, oh, for goodness sake, it doesn't matter, does it? Stood up and just took her trousers off and just sat there in her pants and her top. Thankfully, she had a fairly long tunic on, but I just thought, that's the vibe you want. It's not a presentation. It's just, come on, let's try this one. This is my favorite. And I've only just started using this one. That's the kind of way you want to present it. So if they'd done one leg and one arm and got confused, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Is that okay? Is that clear enough?
Yeah, lovely. Thank you.
Clear as mud. Any other questions? Pardon?
As clear as my question was.
Yeah, that's fine. Just let them enjoy it, I think, is the key message. But I think you could say to them, right, are you doing arms or legs? Because I've got two for you, and I want you to do one arm with one and one arm with the other, or one leg with one and one leg with the other. Just set it up like that at the beginning. Any other questions? Okay, so now all I need to know is whether or not you're going to be brave enough to do it. So who's feeling brave enough to actually set up an evening with some girlfriends and practice and just have a staycation, whether they're customers now or not, a bit of time out? Well done, Sandra, she's going for it.
I've got one booked already for next Friday. So this was perfect timing because I need to do the samples and that tomorrow.
So is your husband in the background now going, right, yeah, I'll get that one, and filling pots? There are a few of the products that we've talked about tonight that are in the sale, guys. And if you want to ring the changes and look up your own ingredients, all of the information tonight came from downloads, and there are downloads or our replicated websites. If you go to your replicated website and look up our ingredients in the bar at the top where it says about us, our ingredients, there's some stuff in there. And then in downloads, there's a whole folder on ingredients and provenance stories. So if actually it doesn't work with the products you've got and you need to change it up, there are no Neal's Yard Remedies police. You can go take your customers to whichever country you like and just change the products that we've talked about. But I think if you start with an oil, end with an oil, a cleanse, a scrub and a moisturizer, you can't go wrong. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for your trip around the world with me. Hope nobody's suitcase got lost on the way, and enjoy the sale tomorrow and connecting with individual customers. All right. Have a good evening. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.